Hey everyone, welcome to this Workout Wednesday video. Today we're going to be talking about getting your smart trainer set up and riding on Zwift. I've had several people approach me saying that they got a smart trainer on a holiday sale or they got one in preparation for the winter training. They're like, okay, I bought one, now what do I do? So I'm going to walk you through every single step to go from trainer in a box, having never had a smart trainer before, all the way to racing on Zwift. And by the time you're done with this video, you'll be a pro at all of it and you'll know exactly what you're doing. Let's get into it. The first thing you need to do is to actually set up a Zwift account. Zwift will give you a 14-day free trial. So as soon as you sign up, you do unfortunately have to put your credit card information in, but you can always cancel it after the 14 days and then not get billed if you don't want to, but I guess that's how they hook you. Once you enter all that information, Zwift will give you those 2 weeks for free to just try the software and to get used to it. You just go to Zwift.com. Now it immediately takes me to my login screen, but if it didn't, up in the upper right-hand corner, you could say login or create an account. So, but in this login menu, I can just click here and say create an account. And it'll just ask you for name, email address, password, a couple things, and then you can click submit. And then it'll ask you to probably verify your email address, walk you through the steps, just follow the instructions on the screen. It's super simple. But once you have your account, you can actually log in and you'll see a screen like this. Now here's a bunch of activities, here's my profile and everything. And I want to go in and make sure that my profile is set up correctly. So this is what you'll want to do when you first log in. So we'll say edit profile. Here's my name. Here's the tag that I use for the Zwift Racing League. We'll talk about that in a whole nother video, so don't worry about that. You can add a picture, the date of birth, gender. Now this is actually really important. Make sure that your height and weight is accurate. So in Zwift, the height and weight is actually how they calculate how fast you go for the power that you're generating. If these are not accurate, what happens on Zwift won't be accurate either, and it won't be fair to everyone else around you. So people really don't like that. So make sure that that information, your height and weight, is accurate. And then just click Save Changes. So that's it for setting up your Zwift account. Now the next thing that you have to do is you actually have to download the Zwift software. Ultimately, Zwift is a video game. So you just have to download the video game onto whatever device you want to use. Some people use desktops, they use full-blown gaming computers, you don't have to. Some people use just their smartphone. Actually, this is where a lot of people start. I personally started with my old laptop. It didn't run great, but it ran fine. So you could do that. People use iPads. Apple TV is another really popular option. Sarah used the Apple TV for a long time. So there's a ton of options. Zwift runs on all of them. Hi, Eric from the future here. Quick side note about running Zwift on a desktop or laptop. If you're gonna run it on a dedicated desktop computer, you're gonna need an Ant Plus dongle. This little guy right here. The camera's not going to pick him up, but you'll need to pick up one of these USB drives. You can get them on Amazon for like $45. And then for me, I actually have, let me show you, desktop computer over there, and then taped down to the floor, I have a cable, a USB extender, and my USB dongle sits right under there, right at the bottom bracket. So if you're going to use a desktop computer or laptop, just keep in mind that you're probably going to need one of those. Okay. Back to the video. Once you know what device you want to use, just go to this website right up here and click on the download link that corresponds to whatever device you're using. If you do get stuck, I will link a Zwift Insider article down below that you can follow as well that gives a little more detail about the installation process. Now let's talk about the trainer. So everything that I'm going to tell you is for my trainer, which is the Tacx Neo. But if you have something like a Wahoo or a Hammer, the instructions are going to be pretty similar, but make sure you check your manufacturer's website in case there's any slight differences. For anyone who got the Tacx, it doesn't come with a cassette. Unfortunately, the first thing that we have to do to set this up is we have to get a cassette. Try to get the same gearing. So if you have an 11 to 25 on your bike, which that just means 11 teeth on the smallest ring and 25 teeth on the biggest ring. If you've got an 1125 on your bike, try to get an 1125 for the trainer. That way, when you're riding your trainer, it'll feel the same as when you're riding your bike because the gearing will be the same. Now, if you don't have the tools needed to install a cassette, take it to a bike shop. They'll be more than happy to help you install a cassette on your trainer. But if you do have the tools, it's pretty straightforward. To install the cassette, simply line up the ridges and then push the cassette onto the free hub. You'll then have to add the final gear to the very outside, again, just lining up those ridges. Once that's in place, hold everything tight and then insert the final locking ring. And then you'll want to make sure that you torque the locking ring down to the specific specifications. In my case, it's 40 Newton meters, and that's generally true for most cassettes, but it should say on the outside of that locking ring. Once you've got your cassette installed, you have to decide if you have a quick release or a through axle. Generally speaking, quick release is on rim brake bikes and a through axle is on disc brakes. But you can tell for sure because the through axle will be an actual bolt that you have to use a wrench to take off, and the quick release will be just a little lever that you can tighten by hand and then flip the lever closed. My tacks came pre-set up for quick release. If you're on a quick release bike after you've installed your cassette, you're good to go. So let's get a bike on here. I generally hold the bike by the chain so that way I can easily wrap the chain around the cassette as I install the bike on the trainer. And then I usually just rock the bike a little bit to make sure that it's set even. Then we just, like we would for any standard wheel, install our quick release. And that's it. So if this was my bike, I'd be all set and ready to ride, but it's not my bike, it's Sarah's bike. So let's get this off of here and let's get my bike on here, because that'll allow me to show you how to install it if you don't have a quick release and you have through axles. All right, back to square one. First thing we have to do is we have to take these end caps off. It is a number 5 Allen key on the tacks. So we're just going to pull these caps off. Next, you have to figure out what size through axle your bike has. Go to the manufacturer's website and then look up your bike, and it'll be able to tell you what size you need. So for me, if I go to felt.com and I search for the IA disc, and I look under, usually it's under like tech specs or hardware or specifications or something, right here in the frame, it'll say 12 by 142 millimeter through axle. Now, your trainer will come with lots of little adapter pieces. Now, this one says 12 by 142 NDS. That's non-drive side. So that one is gonna go on the non-drive side. We'll screw that guy in over there. And then this one actually has 3 sizes on it, but one of the sizes that's listed on here is the one I'm looking for. And this says DS, so drive side. So that's gonna go over here. And then just tighten them down. You don't need a wrench on them, they don't need to be super tight. Now we can put our cassette back on. And with that, you're ready to put a through axle bike on your trainer. One final note about disc brakes and trainers and through axles and stuff is sometimes the clearance isn't quite as much as you would like. So if you find that on your trainer you're having some spacing issue trying to get the bike on the trainer, there's something in the way, just reach out to your manufacturer. I'm sure they've got spacers and adapters to accommodate. We are completely ready to ride on Zwift, with one exception. Generally, there will be software updates for your smart trainer. So these are things like improved power accuracy, better reliability, better stability. It's just nice to have the updates done. So in the case of this tax, there's actually a tax app. It's called the Tax Utility app, and I can just load it up on my phone. My phone will immediately connect. There's my Tax Neo 2T right there, immediately connected. And over here on the side, I can say update, check for updates, and it says your trainer is up to date. Now, if it wasn't, it would just immediately download the update and apply it to your trainer. You wouldn't have to think about it again. The tax does not require a calibration. The Wahoos do. I don't know about Hammer and stuff. That is another thing that you might want to do, and you can usually do that from the app, is do a calibration on your new trainer. That just makes sure that the power that you're getting from the trainer is accurate. Let's go ride on Zwift. When you first launch Zwift, you'll see your pairing screen. This is where you connect all of your devices, and I can see that my heart rate has immediately connected, but some of my other stuff isn't quite connected yet, so I probably need to wake up my trainer and power meter. And I can see that I've picked up the wrong trainer, so I can just go over here and say unpair, and then say search, and then there's my tax trainer that I want.
So we'll say, okay, so now I've got my trainer, my cadence and power source are both coming from my power meter, and then my heart rate. So we're all set. And it immediately took me to the next screen. Now this is where you can select your world choice, type of training, other people riding. I'm not gonna go into a ton of detail about Zwift because this video is already long enough, but basically once all your devices are connected, we're just gonna go to Autopia and we'll just say ride. And here we go. So it'll take a second for everyone to load in. We're now on Zwift and we're ready to ride. You can ride from this screen for as long as you want. This is just the open world of Zwift, so you're free to ride wherever the road is. So if I want to do Zwift events or a Zwift race, I need to download the Zwift companion app to my phone. This is my home screen and I have events going on right here. So I can click on my events and this will show me all of the events that are happening today. If you don't see everything, it might be up in here filters. You might have to change some of the filters so you can see all the events. But this is everything. There's races, there's group rides, group workouts, everything that you could want to do is gonna be in here. So let's say that I want to do this Crit City race right here. So I'm gonna click on that. And then it's gonna give me these different categories. These categories are set based off of your FTP and then watts per kilo. So you'll wanna know what your FTP is, and then you'll need to convert that into watts per kilogram. And then that's the category that you'll wanna race in. For me, I race in the A category, so if I wanted to do this event, I would just hit the plus over there, and then it says that I'm attending this event. All I'd have to do is log into Zwift a little bit before this event started, which it's at 3:45, and then a few minutes before the event, I would get a prompt that says, hey, your event's about to start, do you want to join the event? I'd just click yes, and it would just take me over to the event, and I could do the race.
And that's it. You are now ready to ride and race on Zwift. Now, obviously, Zwift is a ton of other components that we could have talked about, but I figured this video was long enough as it is already, and I didn't want to make a 1-hour video. I've saved all those other aspects for different videos, which is a good reason why you should subscribe to the channel so you don't miss any of those future videos. Next week, we're going to be talking about how to take workouts from today's plan or Training Peaks and then upload them over to Zwift so that you can actually have Zwift help you with your workout, which is going to be really helpful if you're like me and heading into winter training, so just a lot of time on the indoor trainer. So make sure you subscribe so you don't miss that video, and we'll see you next week. Bye.